Welcome, everybody. My name is Bill Lear. I'm what they call a trustee at Keeneland. And you all know Keeneland is the iconic racetrack in Lexington and sales company. A trustee is kind of like a board member. And I have the privilege today of introducing two of our outstanding Keeneland employees. Rosa Vega, who is the Human Resources Manager for Keeneland Hospitality, which is what's known as a subsidiary of Keeneland that does all of the dining, all of the special events, and much more. Wave, Rosa, so they know which one you are. And the second one is Tiffany McDonald. Tiffany is the Assistant Director of Human Resources for all of the Keeneland operation. Welcome to you two today. We all know that having a good job is really important. We also know that there are many routes to finding the job that you like, the one that you're good at, and the one that you have the passion for and allows you to do what you want to do, both from the perspective of your enjoyment of life and from a financial standpoint. So we're looking at different careers. And these two young ladies who are stars at our organization at Keeneland are going to help us get a little bit of insight into the way they got where they are today and what they do in their job. So let's acquaint our audience of students with your business. You go first, Rosa. What does your business actually do?
So Keeneland Hospitality actually does pretty much most of all the food and beverage. So part of the year, twice a year, we do the food for the racing auctions. And then we have special events that we have weddings and corporate events year round. So we kind of run the front and the back of the house, and that's pretty much what we do.
So when I go to Keeneland and it's between races and I want to get a cup of burgoo or a hot dog, I go to one of the facilities that you folks operate?
Actually, you'll have to go to the track kitchen, because when we're off season, track kitchen is year round. So it's pretty much, we have the food for events. We don't have like a concession stand open year round. We only have it during race meet and auctions. So during the Keeneland auction sale.
That's great. You mean if I've just bought $1 million horse at the auction and that's made me really hungry, that you'll be there for me?
We'll have to talk to a chef.
Okay, Tiffany, tell us about the business from your perspective.
Sure. So support predominantly the Keeneland Association side of things. So as you know, our core business is racing and sales. So we have our 2 race meets a year, and we have our 3 big sales. We just added in the April sale as well. So anywhere from any kind of facilitation from our ground business, such as accounting, HR, all these departments kind of wrap up exactly what supports our core business, which is racing and sales.
So on a day-to-day basis, both of you all are in human resources, and we all know that the human beings at Keeneland are our most important asset. So tell us what the sort of day-to-day kinds of things you have to do are.
So day-to-day is obviously very different in the world of HR. So, you know, our goal at the end of the day is to make sure the employee is taken care of. So, you know, it's anywhere from supporting their needs and any kind of questions that they have. We all have our main focuses. You know, we have benefits under the HR umbrella, and we have payroll, we have law and compliance, we have all the administrative business duties that go along in our department. So day to day is always different, which is exciting in the world of HR. So you might come into a lot of inquiries that you have to answer. You might come in and it's kind of a slow morning, but you're working on your everyday duties. So it's very interesting.
You know, a lot of people, when they think about Keeneland, they know about the race meets, April and October. If they're more attuned to the horse business, they know about the big sales, the sales we have in September, November, and in January, and now a smaller sale for 2-year-olds and other horses in April, although we had to cancel this year's. There's a lot more that goes on at Keeneland year-round than just those events. Rosa, I'll pop this question. You may not have the number exactly. About how many weddings do we have in Keeneland every year in our different facilities?
Wow, we had over 200 weddings, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a lot of weddings to cater, isn't it?
It was super busy for our front and back of the house.
We have a 1,000-acre campus. A lot of people don't realize that. The gates are always open except during the current pandemic crisis, where we've had to be more restricted from a security standpoint. So tell us about other jobs in your field. Both of you all are at the top of the management pyramids in human resources. What other kinds of jobs are there in the HR field at Keeneland and elsewhere?
So as far as HR, the umbrella, there's a whole lot of things that fall under the HR concept. So you've got anywhere from employee engagement. So on staff currently, we have an employee engagement manager. You have your payroll person. So that's obviously, it's under the finance umbrella, yet it's under the HR umbrella too. You have your HR coordinator, which is the glue that keeps our department together. So those are much needed. And then you've got just some different things that we all do, from compliance and laws and all those kinds of things. That kind of falls under all. But, we all have different focuses and different duties per se, but we all understand each other's jobs so that we're all able to answer each other's questions. So that's really helpful.
Thinking for a moment about the paths, both career-wise and education-wise, into the jobs that you have now, what would you say are career pathways and education requirements for the jobs that you two are performing so well these days?
Well, in my experience and at Keeneland, I have been in Keeneland for about 8 years, 3 of them part-time and 5 full-time. So in my line, I worked in the front of the house, running events. And of course, all that experience got me the knowledge of knowing all our staff. So pretty much for the job that I'm doing right now, the knowledge of knowing what your staff is, you have to have the experience, the education, and pretty much have the personality also. Tiffany?
Yeah. So in the world of HR, it's one of those things where I didn't go to school to work in HR. There's different careers. There's all sorts of different degrees out there in the world of resources. Me personally, that wasn't my path. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So when I kind of stumbled across this HR thing 8 years ago, I was super intrigued by it. I love people. I love talking to people. I love helping people. And I think those are really good special traits that you look for in an HR representative, is somebody who wants to take care of somebody else. And usually, we put our needs last. We make sure the employee's taken care of first. So, when you look at all these different things, education is real important because now there's so many tools out there for HR leaders that are able to do trainings and do online courses or take, classes to understand the world of HR. Looking back, if I'd known a long time ago I'd be in the HR world, having that under my belt would really help me. But a lot of them are life lessons. So HR is a lot of experience based. You learn it as you go. You learn every situation, every law. The laws are ever changing. Everything is different almost every week sometimes, it seems. So really, on the job training is the best training for HR that you could probably do. I've learned so much just in different situations that I've been in that I'm like, oh gosh, I don't have a clue how to handle that situation, but I've had great mentors and great leaders in my life, and I'm blessed to be able to follow their footsteps and learn from them. So,
well, human resources is all about people. So when you hear folks describe somebody as a people person, that's the world that you live in every day, and yes. we're all better for it. Let's talk for a minute about the kinds of skill sets that you need, and you mentioned some of them, but for our students, one of the things that I know people talk about is not the education background, but what the chamber sometimes calls essential skills. How important among employees is attendance? Being there every day when you're supposed to be there, being ready to go to work. How important is that to you as managers in the human resources area?
Very important.
Very, very important.
Your employees need you because you're there for them.
Right. That's across the board too. So when you look at the departments we have, when one, let's say it's a race day and it's a Saturday and you have one person that's not there. And so that kind of throws your whole team off. So to be good team leaders, we want good team attendance.
Let me let you cast into the future. How do you see your job changing over the course of the next few years? Everybody knows that the workplaces are changing. We've obviously seen a lot of change in workplaces in the last month, but what do you see looking at, not so much related to that, but just looking in the future generally, how do you see your jobs and the work that you do changing?
Gosh, I think it changes daily. It's almost ever changing. When you look down the road of things that, I've been here for 8 years at Keeneland. So when I look back 8 years of what we've accomplished in those 8 years, it's amazing how much my job has changed. And it's all for the better. I learn and continue to grow. And I think that goes along with all departments and individuals in their respective departments. It's what we did 8 years ago is very different than what we do now. So when I look out, we're doubling special events, we're adding in railbird events. All sorts of cool things that we're doing. So as you look at that and you see that, kind of go back to one of your questions, we get a lot of people that say, "You work at Keeneland, what do you do year round?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you what we do year round." So it's interesting to see those changes. And as you add more staff in, our jobs as HR leaders, they change too, because now we're taking care of extra staff. We're making sure that we're doing what we need to do and going above and beyond for those staff members. And so it's always changing, which is such a cool thing to see.
I've been at Keeneland for about 8 years. And yes, so I've been in the HR for about 1.5 years now. So yes, my career at Keeneland has changed very much. And of course, I started as a part-time seasonal employee, which this was just going to be my fun second job. And I have made it into a career. So pretty much it has that effect that it's changed. Like Tiffany said, every day is something different and it's evolving. We have lots of goals, and I know that after this whole pandemic is over, I know that we have our goals of what's coming up in the future with all our race meets and Breeders' Cup coming up. So yes, there is every day is something different.
Is there a perfect way to come into the field and then to move from step to step to step, or is it more something you have to react to the opportunities and move up in the way you did?
Well, when opportunity knocks at your door, you gotta open that door.
So let's write that down as one of the most important takeaways.
That's right.
Folks.
Well, like I said before, before I worked in the HR department, I worked front of the house. So I ran events. I loved it. I met a lot of people, but I always had that. I'm a very people person. I get along well with everyone. And I always felt that people came to me for just for everything, asking questions. And if I didn't know it, I would, ask and then come back. So I was that kind of person. And when the opportunity came up, of course, I went for it. And I love the decision I made. I love that I'm part of the HR team. And it's pretty much just, you have to be, you have to be that person that you have to go for it. You can't be afraid of, because if you're afraid and you don't do it, then what if you don't take that opportunity? Then your path changes completely. So yes, so just go for it.
Yeah, so I actually came prior to this. I worked in the advertising agency world. So when the position came open at Keeneland, I was like, oh my gosh, it was a goal of mine. It's a place I had to be. It's a place I always wanted to be. So I actually started out as the HR assistant there for about 3 years. And then as we grew, we talked about our journey, over 8 years, as we grew, needed additional people in the payroll department. So I dabbled in payroll for a little bit, loved it, loved the payroll side of things. Again, we continue to grow with our staff and just our industry as a whole. And so the benefits kind of became a niche of mine. Actually, I enjoy dabbling in it. I like solving problems and putting pieces together. And so I kind of dabbled in the benefits a little bit. So by the time maybe 5th or 6th year, I was an HR manager. And I had dabbled in a little bit of different umbrellas of HR. And it was one of those things where I loved it all. I was like, I don't really know what path to go. I like benefits. I like payroll. I love employee engagement. And so my journey at Keeneland, I kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything, which kind of just grew into something, bigger. And then as I just continue to grow and be here longer, I was able to now wear the umbrella of being able to kind of solve all sorts of problems, because one problem in benefits might lead to a problem in payroll. So if you don't get the benefit correct, you might not get the paycheck correct. So it's kind of this problem solving thing that I just love to do that. So starting out as an HR assistant and then 8 years later as an assistant director, it was a huge goal of mine. Again, it's not something I expected, but as Rosa said, when opportunity knocks, take it and definitely go for it.
Never look back.
That's right.
You mentioned the word benefits 2 or 3 times in that response, that great response. A lot of people most everybody realize you work, you get a paycheck. But for the really good companies, all of our top companies in Kentucky, there are other benefits associated with that. Maybe you could describe what some of the benefits are, and if there are any particularly outstanding or unique benefits that you derive from working at Keeneland, if you could share those with our students.
Absolutely. So benefits it's one thing, 8 years looking back, I'm like, okay, I have benefits. You don't think about it until you grow up and you start a family and you're like, whoo, I need those benefits. So it's one of those hidden gems that you just don't think about starting out in the field. And Keeneland has an amazing benefit package. It's top notch, one of the top of the state. We're super proud about it. We promote it like crazy because we're very proud of where we came from and where we're going. So, we offer our health insurance, we offer dental and vision insurance. Obviously, there's all different spectrums of who's on the plan, who's not on the plan. There's all sorts of ways that you can explain the benefit plan. But for the most part, it's medical, dental, vision. We have life insurance. The 2 big takeaways, the ones that are the big picture that you just don't think about that you should. Keeneland still has a pension plan. I mean, that is huge benefit. That goes, that coincides with our 401k plan. Different options, enrollments. We have a match plan. It's something when you're starting out in the field or in your career in general, you just sometimes might not think about it, but it's something I really encourage people to think about as next steps and career paths. Benefits are a huge plus and a huge bonus.
I'll have to ask you this. How much of a benefit is it to come to work every day, driving through those gates and looking at all those green fields and
I love it.
That's for sure. I mean, when you drive in, you can be having one of the worst mornings that day, and you sometimes just stop and you look around and you're like, wow, I work here. I work in this. I'm a part of this industry. I'm a part of this beautiful facility that does amazing things for our community and for our employees. And it's surreal sometimes, because sometimes you get in the daily grind and you take it for granted. And then when you walk to your car at the end of the day and you're sitting there and you see, in the fall, that long row of orange trees, and it's like, gosh, this is such a beautiful place to be. Yes. So it's a passion I think most Keeneland employees can say they hold to.
Well, one final question. If a student wants to learn more about either Keeneland or the type of job that you all do and do well, what are some of the resources that they could access?
So the best place to start is our website. We hold a whole host of information on job postings, internships, information about the company, our sales, our races, anything going on. If you want to know more about certain things, there's email addresses, places you can go. There's our email address on the website too. So if somebody is interested in an internship or interested in a job at Keeneland, whatever it might be, or just more information on what Team HR does, our information is, we have an email address, hr@keeneland.com. Our individual emails are also on there as well. But our website is an awesome website anyway, but it hosts a whole lot of information for those that are probably wanting to learn a little bit more.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for sharing your time with us, with the students today. We appreciate the information and the guidance that you've provided, and we certainly appreciate all you do for Keeneland. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.